Hi, my name's Evan, and along with Sean and Kevin, we were Team R in the Rome industry, and we were in charge of managing the products rock and roll. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give us a brief introduction on the risky business team in Rome industry, and kind of where we started, where we ended off, how we got there, and then I will turn it over to Sean and Kevin to kind of go through a little bit more of the specifics on why the decisions were made and at what points we made them. Now, our overall firm performance was fairly good. We all obviously started off equal as far as our stock price, but over the course of the periods, our stock price rose considerably, and it was due very heavily to the decisions that we made as a team. So when we started off, we had two different products. We had rock and we had roll, and we saw that they really were taking up the same market share. They were targeted towards the same individuals, the same buyers were looking to buy rock and roll, and what we really noticed was that they were so similar that we were actually doing ourselves a disservice by keeping their similarities, keeping them targeted towards the same explorers, the same professionals. So what we figured out very early on was that we were going to have to reconfigure through R&D one of our products in order to more correctly target a broader spectrum of the overall market. Rock and roll both were the high-end professional explorer kind of products, and we noticed that roll did not have nearly the recognition that rock did. So what we decided to do was that at some point we were going to reposition roll, being the relatively unknown product, as to more of a shoppers, savers, online market share. So we kept rock going. We aligned rock's pricing more with what the field was looking for, and then we waited until the loan disbursement to really retool roll. So about midway through, we saw kind of our largest jump, and you can see that in period 4, period 5. That was right after the R&D project, and that was kind of really where we came into our own as far as the roll initiative, and then keeping rock aligned with kind of the high earners and the explorers, and then capturing the part of the market that was growing in the second half. We noted that although the explorers and professionals started out very high at the beginning of the project, that towards the end of the periods it looked like the shoppers and the savers were actually going to be the exploding market. So the repositioning of roll was very, very fortuitous as far as the shifts of the market. Now, brand performance by segment, I think that this one is kind of the real telling one, right? We see rock. Rock has kind of always been the premier product for the professionals, and those that are willing to spend the money on the elite product is what I call it. Rock was kind of always our elite product. Now, roll also started out sharing that market space, but you can see that in the initial periods, roll absolutely did nothing in that space, and that was mainly because rock dominated. It started out dominating and continued to dominate. So you see, right after that loan and R&D disbursement in 4, we just started dumping a lot of money into roll, and roll really came into its own as the market evolved. So we really kind of were proactive with roll, and I think that's what really set us apart. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Sean, and then finally to Kevin to discuss a little bit more in depth about our projects. But I can say that working with these guys, they've been great. We obviously made some really good moves, and I think that overall we showed that the risky business team really can handle their rock and roll, and that's certainly what we did for this project.
I appreciate the introduction, Evan. I'm going to begin by talking about our keys to success, and with those I'll begin with determining our target segment, how we went about doing that. And what we did was we looked at the market size broken out by consumer segment graphs that were given to us in period 0 and 1 and subsequent periods. And what we did was we tried to look at that to see which segments showed the potential for growth, which ones would end up in large markets that maybe were not going to be as crowded as others, to kind of figure out who we wanted to go after. So when we took a look at those graphs, what we found as the two most attractive segments were the shoppers and the professionals. The shoppers shown here in green, we're going to go from 180,000 units to approximately 650,000 units. And then similarly, the professionals would go from 178 to 368,000. And they both seem the least crowded of the segments as well. You can see the growth rate indexes that were also shown down here, and those were attractive as well. The next thing we had to do was look and see, once we decided on those segments, what did those segments really want, both now and in the future, because we need to align our products specifically with those. So if you take a look here across the ideal values chart, you can see that the professionals and the shoppers that we targeted have some ideal values associated with them. And along with that, we needed to use the relative importance of price and physical characteristics graph to see which ones were most important. What did we need to align with first? And you can see that for essentially every market share or every market segment, price was king, followed by the power, and then either display or design. And in this case, it's display and design for the two unique segments here, being shoppers and the professionals. So the other thing you have to do once you realize what's important to them is get an idea of where they're going to be in the future, because you can't design your product for now and expect to maintain the market. You got to become what it is that they're going to want as well, or convince them along the path along that way. So if you look at the evolution of ideal point brand mapping, and this is the one from period 8 that shows the whole path. But what we did early on in periods 2 and 3 was took the first couple of dots that existed on these graphs and interpolated them. So what I mean by that is we measured them out and projected them to where we thought they would be in um, 8 periods, and we tried to place ourselves somewhere nicely on that graph. We tried to get where we thought they'd be in about period 6, and then we'd try to use marketing to convince them to stick into this area or slow their rate of driving. And you can see with the professionals, we were fairly effective at doing that. They had a really strong pull initially, and then you see it really starts slowing down. I attribute that to our marketing success. That's the money we dumped into um, the R&D marketing and our marketing in general. All right, with our target markets defined, the next key to success was really to give the customer what they wanted. You can see here in period 0 that we really had no alignment with either of the target segments, the professionals or the shoppers. Rock and roll are situated on this multi-dimensional scaling graph as a fairly expensive, inconvenient product. We needed to move rock into alignment with the professionals and roll with the shoppers, as we decided. You can see in period 8 we were able to do that. You can see the very good alignment with the professionals and the shoppers here for both rock and roll. How did we do it? We used R&D to make that change happen, and then communicated it, of course, with marketing, both R&D and regular marketing. All right, those were our basic keys to success, but what would we change? What would we do next time differently? If we could do the entire thing over again, we would definitely do R&D earlier, and we would advertise about it a lot louder. And when I say louder, I mean with more money. So period 3, we did our R&D, but we really didn't see any fruits of that until about period 6. What took 3 whole periods, 4 periods almost, to do that? The lack of money spent in marketing, or the delay in spending that money. Roll existed already in the segments, and so it was perceived as a high-end, high-dollar product. We needed to change that perception. We should have started that marketing campaign earlier, and as I said, louder with more money. The second thing we would do differently is we would advertise first and build our commercial teams second. You can see that in the beginning with the 5 different teams, you can see we had about 20% of the market share, but we really fought to try to maintain that. What we learned late in the process was that it wasn't really about the salespeople initially. What it really was about was how much money you spend is really what helps you get the market share. So we brought on 30 extra bodies a little early. We should have really applied those 30 extra bodies salary toward our marketing spend instead of 4.7, been more along the 5.3 to help kind of drive that market penetration. So less salesmen first and more spend here on our actual marketing campaigns.
In the early development of our marketing scheme, it was decided that based on the features, design, battery, display, and power price of rock, that rock was best suited for the professionals. However, roll appeared to be floundering, not really having a clear direction. So we decided that we can't be everything to everyone, and that rock would be best suited for the professional segment, whereas roll would be best suited with certain modifications into the shopper's market. What happened was that the research and development that took place allowed roll to better fit with the features, design, battery, display, power, and price for the shopper market. With that in mind, identifying the professionals and shoppers, it was found that price was a factor, but for different reasons. If you would notice here with the professional market, it was found that a high price indicated high quality product. In the shopper market, lower price indicated a better bargain, as demonstrated here in the graphic display. Thus, the prices for the professionals and shoppers, rock and roll, were modified to reflect those perceptions of price, high quality, and best bargain. What was decided at the beginning was that when doing promotion, brand awareness was very low for both roll and rock. However, at the end of the exercise, roll and rock were one of the highest. Similar with purchase intentions, roll was in last, rock was approximately half. After the exercise, rock and roll were one of the top 4, 5. It was decided that, and it proved to be a good choice, to work on the commercial advertising side to inform the public of the two products, the differentiation between the two, and then working with commercial teams after that brand was developed. The commercial team could close the sales in the various marketing avenues and distribution locations that were used. This proved to be highly successful, as observed with the stock price and growth in sales, as well as the brand awareness change and purchase intention change over the exercise that was done with the simulation.